What's up, Commanders Nation? It's your man Gerard B with Gerard B TV. Day 11 of Commanders camp. First time we seen this team since that preseason shellacking up in New England, man. Dan Quinn was not happy. We saw the post game, and I know most of you guys saw his practice press conference prior to practice. But he definitely made mention that, and I have to bring this back up. The kind of effort and execution that we saw on Friday night, he said it make his ass burn. Today, that message was received, man. We saw urgency, physicality, and some big performances on both sides of the ball today. So let's break it all down. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let's get it. So some quick roster news real quick. 7 players did not practice. Marcus Mariota, Noah Brown, Brandon Coleman, Jordan McGee, Javonte Jean-Baptiste, Kevin Seymour, Viliami Fehoko, and Bobby Price. Just looking at that list alone, you already know that competition is starting to ramp up behind these guys, especially Jordan McGee. Javonte Jean-Baptiste, he needs the opportunity to catch up. Bobby Price, you're going to start to fall back in that cornerback rotation if you can't get back on the field. So you definitely got, people that when you look at this list of people that were injured, you're like, man, the competition for some of these spots, i.e., if Marcus Mariota is actually injured into the season, well, we'll probably go with a veteran quarterback in that situation, right? So we'll probably pick Josh Johnson over a Sam Hartman. So these injuries definitely hold sway when it comes to the roster building that Dan Quinn and Adam Peters are going to have to do. Back to the roster news. Casimir Allen, he was present but in a black no-contact jersey. Bill and Luke, they were back after leaving Friday's game early. Remember, Bill went into the blue tent, and then Luke, he wasn't necessarily feeling well. I think he was under the weather. So he had to deal with that. Unfortunately, we did have one severe injury during the game. Lucas Niang, the offensive tackle we just picked up last week, he tore his ACL. So, again, back to that camp battles. That's lower in on the roster depth, but still depth and competition nonetheless. So something to keep a mind out for. And in response to that, multiple tryouts were happening today. A lot of reports had about 8 or more players. I've seen upwards of 20 players having tryouts today, but mainly the positions targeted with the offensive line, defensive line, and cornerback, right? So you already know what that means. They're looking at the trenches, and they didn't like the effort from the corners tackling or just executing Joe Witt's scheme, especially those back-end guys. They're about to have some competition for sure. Let's move over to Laremy Tunsil. Something interesting on the interwebs. He didn't finish practice today. No official word. It could be precaution. It could be minor, but worth monitoring given his role in protecting Jayden Daniels' blind side. When Jayden Daniels asked about Laremy Tunsil, Jayden Daniels clearly said, I just love him to death. And that's 5 for you. It's no leaks in Ashburn. Not even from the head, okay? He not giving that up. Love him to death. Get well, Laremy. See you Tuesday. So talking about Jayden Daniels. Right now, Jayden Daniels, he had one of those practices today, man. He had one of them practices where it just seems like he is destined to continue his momentum, right? He's not looking like having a sophomore slump. You can actually see when you hear about some of the passes he's making, you can kind of understand why we're excited in Commander Land, because he's literally carrying us, right? Just like he did last year. But now he got it. He's more advanced. His precision and his processing is much faster, right? If you looked at some of the quarterbacks that was playing over the weekend, one of the main issues you would see is the processing speed, right? And then once you finish processing, having the accuracy and the arm strength and the touch on throws to get the ball where you know it's going to be. We got a special one, guys. We got a special one, right? And that Jayden Daniels to Deebo Samuel connection, it's hot, baby. It's hot. Like 2 early touchdowns and 7-on-7 drills, right? Now, we don't care about the stats. It's the execution in the play. A gorgeous corner route, right? Chris Russell was mentioning that was his best throw of the day, right? He also hit Deebo on a tight window throw with Mikey Sanders still draped all over him, right? The guy, he pinpoint accurate, man. And when asked about the running backs, he said, "Hey, look, I love my running back room. They all fighting and they all dogs." And some reports are talking about how JD5 and Brian Robinson's chemistry out there is starting to stand out a little bit, right? Now, we didn't get to see any of that come this preseason game. Now, maybe we'll see a little sprinkle of that come on the Monday night game, but probably not. Probably not, right? We like to keep those things under wraps. But that's good to know that Jayden Daniels is taking, that next step, right? Right before our very eyes. That very next step. Like, that's what you want to hear, man. That's the most important part for us as Commanders fans. It's making sure JD doing his thing. The secondary, right? Now, that was a point of contention for that preseason game, as well as some of the joint practice reports you were hearing about. Well, today in practice, of course, they're going against the familiar receivers that they've been dealing with. But Marshon Lattimore might have been his best day of practice, right? Multiple reports talking about how he had multiple pass breakups, nearly had an interception over the middle of the field, and late in practice, when the team was driving, locked down Tay Martin, who was getting first-team reps. Very interesting to note. Tay Martin currently is above Chris Moore and Michael Gallup with that information. Just put that in your Rolodex. If you're thinking about what veteran receiver may get an opportunity to get on the back end of the roster, especially with Terry out. Trey Amos, our favorite rook. 3 straight red zone stops versus Luke McCaffrey. Poor Luke. He jumped a route that would have been a touchdown, as well as had tight coverage in the back of the end zone, and he shut down a corner route on that play. Okay, like the guy, he literally is that shutdown corner that we asking for. Like, just think about that for a second. Just think about how much having locked down Lattimore and then Trey Amos on the other side would that give you the ability to do from behind them in the safety room, behind them in the safety spot, as well as in front of them in the linebacker spot and that D-line spot. Like the kind of pressure we might be able to generate and things of that nature if they holding it down and making quarterbacks hold the ball for. And instead of that 3.5, 4 seconds, they had to hold it for an extra second and a half. Instead of 1 hit, you get 2 hitches, right? That's when your guys start to get home. That's how Jerzon knew when that sack fumble, that strip fumble he had, yeah, that's how those plays happen, right? I mentioned Tay Martin, right? He definitely got first team reps, so he stood out a little bit today. I'm not going cap. He stood out a little bit today as far as some of the other standouts. Jaylin Lane, praised by DQ, right, as a confident punt returner, plus had a huge block today on Deebo on a jet sweep, right? He had a huge block for Deebo, I apologize, on a jet sweep motion where he took Quan Martin completely out of play, right? Somebody put on Twitter he was yoked up. Austin Ekeler, a strong day of practice, right? Being a blocker and a receiver, that's what we want to see from our third down running back. Zach Ertz, you already know what he does. He just scores touchdowns for JD. Obviously, when they're working at 3 receiver release reps and things of that nature, when that drill, when you see it's multiple receivers out into a route and you got multiple quarterbacks passing the ball, he's literally been Jayden Daniels' best friend as far as making sure he's in the right spot at the right time, right? That dark arts of route running, making sure the timing and everything is correct, even though it's them on air, right? Very important. Frankie Luvu, he had an edge blitz today that almost forced a Sanders still interception. And that's what we're talking about, getting that pressure and allowing these corners to be playmakers. You want that front and that secondary working hand in hand, man, right? Again with Sanders still, I told you about the tight coverage he had earlier on Deebo Samuel. He had some more tight coverage on pass coverage opportunities as well. He did get flagged on one. But who cares, right? Get aggressive, my boy. Fight like your name means something, okay? Special team spotlight real quick. Matt Gay, we care because he missed that field goal in the game. And we hate having kicking woes, right? With this, as awesome as we feel like Adam Peters is, that's one thing where we just kind of scratch our head. Like, why do we deal with these kicker situations? And you got guys with a kicker that can kick 70-yard field goals. We don't know if he's accurate though, right? So Matt Gay went 4 for 5. He missed his second kick wide right. And I think JP Finley might have said that was a 38-yarder. But he did make all his other kicks ranging from 30 to 50 yards. So he did make that 50-plus one. Thank you, Matt Gay. But I know you heard DQ's presser today because people are already asking him about the kicker competition and why. And are you at the point where you want to bring in another kicker to kind of have that competition, since that's really what DQ screams is competition. His response was, fair question, but that's not where we're at, okay? So if you're loving this Commanders content, man, you loving this kind of content, help grow this community, man. Help grow the Gerard B TV community, right? Hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 1K. We pushing, right? Every single upload, we working to get better for you. Updates, game breakdowns, and all things Washington football. So hit that subscribe button. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. As I move on, Military Appreciation Day obviously was today. Had the crowd real energized and ready to go. There was rockets out there. You could actually hear during Jayden Daniels' press conference, the kids screaming to Jayden Daniels and things like that. That's crazy. I'd never heard nothing like that before in all my times of being a fan and watching those press conferences. I ain't never heard no children back there going crazy. The children were going so crazy, they were basically interrupting the press. You could hear the annoyance, quote unquote, from the beat reporters trying to ask questions of JD. It was hilarious. And if you have not watched that, please go back to the Commanders page and check that out. Again, with the team, they wanted to make sure they had sharper execution today. So that was a big point of emphasis. DQ's message today was sharpen your skills, compete every snap, and never let that kind of effort happen again that we saw on Friday. Some of my final takeaways, and I'm going to get y'all out of here. Jayden Daniels, Deebo Samuel, that chemistry looks like it's going to be real potent on Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays, Saturdays, whenever day we play. It's going to be real potent. Lockdown Lattimore and Defensive Rookie of the Year Trey Amos, yeah, that's looking like it could be a thing, right? They anchoring our defense right now in some of these practice sessions from a coverage standpoint, allowing that rush to kind of get home and dictate what that's going to look like. Jaylin Lane, Austin Ekeler, Frankie Luvu, Zach Ertz, as well as Bill have been making an impact, right? You've been hearing their name a lot, and they've been making an impact. I'll be remiss to say if I didn't bring up Ja'Cory Brooks in that situation, because as a UDFA guy, as far down the depth chart as he is, I can see the fight in the young man. I'm rooting for him. Special teams, it's going to remain under a microscope as long as we think Matt Gay is trash, right? And we're going to think he's trash until he start hitting some game winners for us or extending leads for us and things like that in clutch games. So, that kicker position is a show me position for us at this point as in our fan base. And my last takeaway, DQ today wanted his team to be on fire. And from all reports I've been reading today, it sounded like he got the response he was looking for from the squad. And from here on out, it's all about sharpening those tools, sharpening those skills, right? As DQ always says, making sure this roster is ready to roll come week 1. So today showed us that the fire, DQ relit the fire on the team. He lit that fire under them boys. We just got to see it in the lights when the lights come on now. But listen, it's Gerard B with Gerard B TV. Smash that like button, hit the subscribe, join the conversation in the comments. I love hearing from you guys. Until next time, we out.